The gleaming mahogany table at the Gilded Lily felt more like a throne than a piece of furniture to Julian Vane. He sat with his tailored Italian suit draped perfectly over his frame, while his diamond-encrusted watch caught the light of the crystal chandeliers. Julian was a man who measured worth in net assets and judged humanity by the commas in their bank accounts. He had spent the morning closing a merger that wiped out 3 small competitors, and he felt a primal urge to assert his dominance over someone who couldn't fight back. Across from him sat his business associates, all of them laughing at his cruel jokes and nodding in agreement with every cynical word he uttered. When the waitress approached their table, she was a contrast to the opulence surrounding them. Her name was Clara, and she wore a simple uniform that was clean but showed signs of years of wear. She moved with a quiet dignity that Julian found offensive because he couldn't understand how someone with so little could look so at peace. He decided then that he would break that peace for his own entertainment. Clara placed the menus down and asked if they were ready to order, her voice steady and professional. Julian didn't look at the menu, but instead looked directly into her eyes with a smirk that had intimidated CEOs across the globe. He leaned back and toyed with a gold coin he kept in his pocket. He told her that he was bored with talking about millions and billions with his friends, and that he wanted a fresh perspective on a major investment. He looked at her tattered shoes and then back at her face, and asked her what she thought he should do with an extra $50 million that was currently sitting idle. His friends chuckled and leaned in, expecting her to stammer or offer some trivial advice about savings accounts or buying a house. Julian told her that since she saw so many wealthy people pass through these doors, she must have picked up some elite financial wisdom that he was missing. He was mocking her, and the air in the room grew heavy with the cruelty of the joke. Clara did not flinch or look away. She stood perfectly still with her notepad held to her side, and she waited for the laughter to die down. When the room went silent, she looked at Julian, not as a powerful billionaire, but as a person who was missing something vital. She told him that if he truly wanted financial advice, he should understand the difference between price and value. She explained that he was currently spending his life collecting currency that he could never spend, while losing the only asset that was non-renewable, which was time. She told him that $50 million could buy 1,000 things that would rot or go out of style, but it could also fund the dreams of 1,000 people who would never forget his name. She suggested that he invest in the one thing his portfolio lacked, which was a legacy that didn't involve a balance sheet. She told him that true wealth was the ability to walk into a room and be respected for his character, rather than feared for his capital. The smile faded from Julian's face as the weight of her words hit the table. She wasn't finished yet. She told him that he was asking a waitress for advice to feel big, but in reality he was showing everyone how small he felt inside. She said that a truly wealthy man wouldn't need to mock a service worker to prove his status. She told him to take that $50 million and go to the parts of the city where children didn't have books and where the elderly couldn't afford medicine. She told him that the return on investment for a human life was higher than any stock or bond he had ever traded. She said that when he died, his bank would close his accounts, but the people he helped would carry his spirit forward. She finished by saying that her advice was free today because she could see that, despite all his gold, he was the poorest man she had served all week. The silence that followed was deafening. Julian's associates looked down at their laps, suddenly embarrassed by the display. Julian himself felt a hot flush of shame crawl up his neck, which was a feeling he hadn't experienced in decades. He looked at Clara, and for the first time, he saw a human being instead of a servant. He realized that she had more power in her simple words than he had in his entire empire. She asked him again if he was ready to order or if he needed more time to think about his investments. Julian didn't answer immediately, but instead reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card. He didn't offer her money or a tip at that moment, but he asked her for her name. He told her that he had spent his whole life winning, but he had never felt like he was losing until this very moment. He walked out of the restaurant without eating, leaving his associates behind, and for the first time in his life, he drove his luxury car toward the parts of the city he usually ignored.